Ready, set, go.
Welcome to The Sweet Spot, an Updog podcast. I'm Andrea Morissette.
And I am Jack Faley, and our guest today is Andrea Morissette.
Isn't that perfect? I'm so excited about getting to be our guest today.
Well, actually, we thought that we would just make this episode like real talk with Jack and Dre. And,
yeah, I like that.
We both of us have been judging the Freestyle Crown last week. It took up a lot of our week because there were so many teams, which was amazing that there were so many teams. We had over 110 teams. Yep. And of course, we also had help from Tracy Custer and Rebecca Hill helping us out. So thank you to those folks. But we thought it'd be cool today to just kind of talk about our experiences as judges, what we were kind of doing, how our thought process was. I know as a player, I always wondered, like, how do the judges come up with these scores? Why did I get this score on this day? And you know, I thought I did better or worse, and the judges gave me this. And so we thought we'd have some conversation about it.
Perfect. I'm excited about that. I had a lot of fun judging.
All right. So I have put together a few questions, and I'm just going to kind of bounce them off Dre, and then I'm sure that'll spark our conversation, and we'll go from there. So, all right. First of all, Dre, what was your overall feeling after having judged over 110 teams?
I was cooked with about 12 teams to go. I did about 20 teams on, I think maybe it was Friday or Thursday. And then I wanted to get through everybody else on Friday. And I got all the way through, but like 12 teams, and my brain was just fried. Like I couldn't make any more. I was like, if I watch any more, I'm going to be losing focus, you know, in the middle of the rounds where you're like, oh, I wasn't watching that. And you have to go back and check it. So I started having a little bit of those mind wanderings, and I booked them for the next morning and finished them over a cup of coffee the next morning, which was such a good choice. Oh man. But it was really, it was a fun challenge to do a large number of teams. I really like that challenge. One of the things that I've been working on the past few years with not having a real high level Frisbee dog because Leap retired early, I've been judging a lot. And so there's just a difference in mental load management, maybe over a long period of time when you're working with like such a large group of people to judge. You got to establish your scale, right? But you have to keep the scale through like potentially several days of judging, right? So you have to like leave yourself good enough notes that you can still kind of slide back into that scale when you come in. And that's something that we get to do every year at UpDiff. And I got to do it at the EC this year, although we didn't get to finish. And then we got to do it at Freestyle Crown. So that was very fun for me.
I mean, I thought to myself, you know, I made not that I haven't had this realization before, but it was just in my face as I was doing this was, you know, how other little things impact your judging, you know, like I did this judging over the course of 4 days, and I kind of, you know, pieced it out so that I could get it done. And like you, when I started getting a little bit burnt out, I would walk away from it. We don't have that luxury when you're sitting there at a live event, you know, and it's just go, 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 go. I mean, the other thing that we had with this is if needed, I could just hit replay on the video. I mean, I watched a ton of these 2 times, 3 times. Like Kat would walk in occasionally and hear the same song. She's like, "Aren't you just supposed to watch that one time?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm doing comments, and I want to make sure I get them right."
No. Oh man,
you can't do that on like a live event. And like one day I had a bad headache. And I was judging, and it just started getting worse. And I was like, I got to stop because I'm not doing right by these people because I'm like not thinking clearly. Yeah. And I just thought, yeah, if it was live, too bad, so sad for those people that get me when I have a bad headache.
Bringing you monsters. That's the difference, right? So if we're judges in the seat on the day, we got support crew, man. We got people bringing us like nuts and snacks, and in EC, they brought me cappuccinos. So, you know, you do have a little bit more support staff when you're live. And I think personally, the energy of being there at the event creates more aliveness,
Oh, I
less
agree with that.
tiredness.
Yeah.
It's less physically comfortable by far because usually I'm cold. It seems like every one of these big giant events that I'm like, it's like 40-mile-an-hour wind, sideways rain, and like just above freezing. So that's usually one of the factors. But being at home, it's just cozy. You're in your pajamas. I was on the couch with a blanket. I had my coffee. I had my iPad. I had my notes. So it presented different challenges. I think it was more of a focus thing for me, being home, having dogs, having husband, having meal time, having like the normal operation of the day. It really took me shutting down everything for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours. Like I said, that second day when I just wanted to do everything, it was probably an 8 to 10 hour judging day. So it was like all day long. I made sure it was a day no one was home. The dogs did nothing all day. We did no hikes. We did nothing. And I just sat and judged all day long. And that was a way for me to manage just the chaos that's here. If I'm by myself during the day, the dogs need care, the phone's ringing, deliveries are coming, everybody's barking. It's really hard to focus. So I think that the challenges are different, but I find that I have a lot more energy, but physical discomfort when I'm live judging. But when I'm judging at home, it's really cozy to be able to like have your own space and have your own time and be able to set it aside and kind of come back. So
Yeah.
I
And
really
just
like Freestyle Crown, this annual thing that we get to do, that we get to practice the online thing and get people kind of used to it. And then the people that also have dogs, like that reminds me of your dog that didn't do well at public events. We used to call her the backyard champion, Groovy. So like, then there's that whole other aspect of like, because it's a video contest, there's all these people that the dogs don't have to deal with being in an environment or a competition where they may not feel comfortable. You can literally go anywhere. A third of the people maybe were in their yards.
Yeah.
So
That was an interesting thing that there were a couple times that I just laughed or couldn't stop smiling because of the environment. Like
yeah.
we had one person that I thought it was like her bedroom at first. I was like, is this happening in her bedroom? But it was like a little training room, but it was a small training room
Yep.
and she was doing amazing stuff in this small
A
training
lot done.
room.
Yep.
And like at one point she vaulted the dog. I thought the dog was going to hit the ceiling.
Hit the wall.
It was amazing. And then like you had people in these beautiful
Tiny little
backgrounds
yards.
with like the autumn trees, like the different leaf colors and everything. And like and Dre, did you see the one where the backdrop was the like a graffiti wall?
I didn't see that one. The one that I remembered the most was the sunset. It was like it was just all across the back, and it was just this beautiful red orange. It was a little distracting because I'm supposed to be watching the freestyle, and I'm like, ooh, sunset, ooh, freestyle, ooh, sunset. So I did have to go back and check that one a second time because I was watching the sunset, but I missed the graffiti wall. You'll have to let me know who that is, or maybe in round two, if they record in front of the graffiti wall again. We're going to be judging the last one together live.
Yeah,
So you could.
when is that again?
Oh, I'll have to look at my calendar. Hold on. I think it's the third. Hold on.
And that's the one that we're going to put out there.
Tuesday. Yeah, it's Tuesday, November 5th. And the time that we set aside for it was from 10 to 2, but I think we're going to need more than 4 hours now. Because I think when we set that, we intended on it being the normal amount of teams we'd have, and we have about double. So that'll probably be a full day. But I'm and I was thinking about that also, because we have more teams, we may actually want to break that up into 2 chunks.
That might be good. Yeah.
Because an 8-hour Zoom would be a lot for us, but a 4 hour and a 4 hour, or a 3 hour and 3 hour, something like that, to break it up. But yeah, that's something fun this year too, is for the performance round judging. In the past, I've really missed, for Freestyle Crown, the feeling of judging performance that you get when you're judging it live with all the judges. So like the anticipation of the 15-second or 30-second, I always say 15 seconds because by the time it's like you got 15 seconds by the time you actually get to the sheet. Yeah, so that part of it, we're going to be doing a live Zoom judging with all the judges together and wherever our respective places are. So Kat and Jack will be in Florida, I'll be in Texas, and Tracy will be in St. Louis, and we'll all be on Zoom judging together. So I'm really excited about that, just to mix it up. Like maybe we'll love it, maybe we'll hate it, maybe it'll be fun, maybe the logistics and the technology won't work, but I like that we're innovating it and that we're making Freestyle Crown something different this year. And Jess, by the way, holy camole, she is rocking the admin. Like,
Yeah,
wow.
it was super easy to do. Everything was right there for you. It was great. Jess has
The
been awesome.
marketing, the marketing has been great. Like all the sponsors getting special features. Just, I mean, it's been really, really good this year. So I'm really grateful that Jess is on board, especially with art from our judging perspective. She's filling out, she created custom forms for us for each player to go in and submit it. So the forms get uploaded right away to the master sheet. So there's a lot of really cool technology stuff happening backstage that she created this year.
Yeah, I mean that was obvious because like literally we were done, and then like a half an hour later she's posting the
Scores
scores.
were up. I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
I was excited. Like I get to be excited this year. We got to test and push buttons and see if stuff worked. So that's been a really lot of fun. And then we're doing the live awards too. We'll do
So
live.
you guys watch the discussion page. I'm sure that there will be announcements about that. And if you can't watch the live stream of the performance round, I am sure that they can come back and watch that later, right?
Yeah, we'll record it.
Okay. All right. So let's talk a little bit more about so one of the things I was thinking of from a player's perspective that they may not think about as they're filming, like
Mhm.
when you're walking out there as a player and you're going to put your camera down and film your round,
Mhm.
think about the judges who are watching.
Oh yeah.
Because sometimes like Dre's going like this across the field. Sometimes instead of seeing the whole field, we could see this much of the field.
Mhm.
And when the dog left the field, I didn't know what the dog was doing, or the camera was following the dog, and we couldn't tell what the human was doing.
Oh, we'll be human. Yeah.
So which makes it hard for like, judging things like use of field or dismanagement. Like I don't know what's going on with the human while the dog's off running catching a disc. So just be thoughtful about like making sure that your judges can see what's really going on the field. I can also tell you that some of the videos where I couldn't hear the music,
Mhm.
it
It
just
was
it, it
hearing the
it's
cues of the person. I lost the magic of it a
it's
little
it's
bit.
off-putting a little bit. And like I tried very much to still stick to the rubric and
Yeah.
judge it fairly, but remember that your judges are humans, and like if you've got a cool music piece, especially if it goes really well with you and your dog, and we can't hear it, that takes away a little bit of
Yep.
your of the performance. Not that it's the performance round, but you know what I'm saying. It takes away a
Right.
little bit. Um, there were also I noticed myself there were a few videos where there was like a little crowd of people that were
Mhm.
watching and they were cheering, and I
Oh
couldn't
no,
help
added to it.
myself to like smile, and like I can't say that that didn't impact me just a little bit. Like if I heard people cheering and stuff, that meant something.
Yep.
So like just kind of think about those things when you're recording. I don't know, was there anything else that kind of like seeped into your thoughts there?
Yeah. Yeah, you actually brought up a couple things. I know, obviously, when the dog runs off screen, for me, that just doesn't count as anything because I
Right,
can't see
right.
what happened. If your back is turned to me for the multiple, I can't see what the release is, or if the dog's catching it, even though it's not hitting the ground, I'm not giving you anything for that. Um, there was a couple players who videoed vertical, and
Oh
for
yeah,
me, that was just really hard to see the field at all. I
it
can judge
was.
it, but I really lost the whole feel of the routine. And then to the other end, a couple people did this really wide view, and they were literally a half an inch tall on
Yeah.
this screen. And so I was like, I had my iPad up to my face trying to see what the release was because like it's hard. I mean, I'm judging the different releases as a player, as human. So I'm judging the different grips and releases and throws, and I have to be able to see all that stuff. So that was challenging too. So I would say if you can have someone record you, see if they can record you and be a little bit more zoomed in, but still show the whole field. And then another trick that you can do that helps a lot when you do have a wider view and you don't have somebody record you is I always recommend putting out low cones. So like put your camera out and then go put low cones out on the edge of the camera screen so that when you can go back and look at the camera and be like, okay, here's my cone, 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 cone. And so then when you're out there, if you throw past the cone, that's off screen.
Hey, that's a pro tip right there, people. I didn't ever think about that one. I like that.
It just gives you a visual when you're out there to be able to see what you're actually recording and not recording. So the low cones help a lot. But yeah, if you can just do it horizontal, vertical is it's gonna be really hard for us to judge the use of the field and the disc management and how the flow goes, all of it. I mean, that's great for reels. That's how I record for reels. But yeah, and just a reminder, this is a question we got a lot, and I know we've answered it a few times, but in case anybody listening hasn't heard it, if you do have, I just completely forgot what I was going to say.
Something about Reels or Facebook or Instagram or something?
It was about, oh, I don't remember. It just jumped right out my ear.
All right.
I'll
Well,
remember it again later, maybe not.
it'll probably come back.
Yeah, probably. I was like, oh, I'm forgetting it. It's going. It's gone.
All
It's
right.
gone.
So Dre, you mentioned that you were the human judge, and I was the team judge. Tracy was the dog judge.
Okay.
Rebecca did catch ratio for us. So if, overall, obviously there's different things for different people, but overall, did you see any trends with the humans where you're like, man, overall, if they could have been doing more of this or less of this, it would have been good? Is there anything any trends that popped up?
Well, we did have two divisions, and you're going to see more trends consistently inside the division. So I would say for the more novice teams, the things that I probably wrote most often as a judge was to try to pick up 3 to 5 discs and use them before picking up more discs. I think that's one of the things that you see a lot with new teams is they'll be holding 2 or 3 teams and 2 or 3 discs. Well, I guess I should put it in the righty thrower hand, in this hand, and then they'll throw one and they'll go pick up another disc, and they won't use this stack of discs in their hands, and they'll pick up another disc and throw this one, and then move to another spot and then pick up a disc. And I'm like, you have all these discs in this hand, and instead of moving towards your dog or using the field, you're just running to the next disc that's on the ground and picking it up. But you don't even know, like as a judge. So as a judge, I don't have a sheet. Like if you're in the Olympics and you're doing figure skating, you submit a sheet of all your moves. And they know, the judges know, she's going to do triple axel, toe loop, blah, 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 blah. And they know the point value and the difficulty of all that stuff. And if you don't execute all of that, then your points are lower. And if you do, then your points are higher. And then it's based on how you execute it, right? But disc is a lot more subjective to that, which is something that we wanted to talk about. But, in this scenario, it's like if you don't maximize the judges, we don't know what you're going to do. So if you don't make it clear to us what the pattern is or the skill is that you're trying to show, as a judge, we have to just guess. So we're sitting here in front of a TV screen like, okay, what are you going to give us? We don't know. Like, I know that there's going to be tricks, right? There's going to be flips and vaults and overs and dog catches, perhaps. And there's going to be throws. There's going to be backhand throws and different grips, but I don't know what order they're going to be in. I don't know what patterns we're going to be showing. And so the clearer you can make that to a judge by having like an organized segment, it makes it easier for us to pick up a pattern. If you're picking up a disc and throwing it this way and then going and picking up a disc and throwing it that way, it might be a pass, but I'm not going to see it that way because I'm so distracted by you running to the disc and picking it up. I'm like, oh, something else is going to happen, right? It's like it almost interrupts the pattern for me if there's so much picking up discs while discs are being held, but there's not action happening with the discs that are in the hand. So I would like to see like a segment of moves being put together, like several, 3 to 5 things. Yep, or 6 to 9, like depending on what your experience level is and how many tricks and throws you have. As you get more experience, those segments, like I like to say, you get more set density as you get more experience. So because you have nice inside tricks and nice flow with your flat work and setup moves, you could do 3, 4, 5 different setup moves in 3 seconds and then go into a big move. And you're getting scored for the one big move, but those elements that you put in add to the difficulty of that, just like in gymnastics. If someone's on beam and they do a backflip off the beam, that's 1 score. But if they do a back handspring twist off the beam, the tricks that they did before elevate the final trick. So it's the same thing with flat work and setup moves. We really want to see, can you link together multiple things and still have control and connection with the dog? And then when you're out of discs, go pick up more and complete another segment. So for the novice teams, it was a lot more of like, kind of, instead of seeing it as a panic of like, I have to get the dog away from me, which was kind of my experience when I first started. It's like, how do we collect it all together? And now that the dog is near you, let's perform this group of things and then throw the disc and then come back to gather to do another group of things. Does that make sense?
I feel like you were talking about my team elements.
I don't know. I wasn't judging teams.
You talked about disc management. You talked about flat work and flow. I'm like, what?
I mean, these are
you're taking all my points.
Well, because I'm judging tricks, right? And so I know that I'm going to see flips, overs, vaults, dog catches, and not everybody is going to have variations of releases for those things to make them more difficult. And so how do you make those things more complex is you put flat work and setup moves and stuff in front, you link them to other tricks. And so that elevates the trick score. But if I'm judging human and I just see like, the dog runs right up to you and there's a flip and then an out throw, I can't judge that to the same level of difficulty. If somebody comes in, dog runs in, they do a flag and flash, twist the dog, rebound, they turn at the same time and then do a flip. Even though the flip is exactly the same, the collection move was there, the setup move was there to get the dog in the right position in flow. So 3 different things happen before the flip. And that requires 3 levels of communication. You got to communicate to the dog for all 3 of those moves, and they need to do it in place and in time. And that's the hard part, right? So when you're first starting out, you don't know all those layers that happen in freestyle until you're kind of there already.
Well, and that difficulty, that idea of how difficult what were the things that you were doing factors into a number of different skills under, like in Updog, of course, we have categories. Those are dog, human, and team. And then underneath each one of those, there are 6 skills. And like Dre's talking about the skill, the tricks and like the difficulty of the tricks. And like, so there were a number of times for disc management on the team side that literally if all disc management was did you have the discs that you needed when you needed them, there would be teams that would have gotten a 4.5 or a 5, but I actually gave them like a 3. And the reason why I gave them a 3 was because if you are not moving around the field, if your dog is not moving around the field to the outer edges of the field, of course it's going to be easier for you to have all the discs that you need. If your entire routine is kind of in the sweet spot, then yeah, you should always have the discs that you need. But and so like if you start moving your dog out to further areas of the field and you can still maintain that disc management, the score gets a little bit higher. If you start moving around the field as well, and you can continue to maintain that high level, now your score goes up even higher. So that difficulty level is definitely, it's something that impacts some of the other skills as well, like disc management and like, when we talk about use of field, just so that everybody knows, if you're looking at your scores and going, I used my entire field. Well, yeah, your field was your bedroom, or your field was
right. If you don't challenge yourself, you can't get a high difficulty score.
When I am judging use of field, the field that is in the judge's head is the Updog field. It's 50 yards by 20 yards. If you don't have that space, that's okay. You can still play. You'll still get a score. But I can't give you the same value, a 4.5 for using a field that's as big as a sweet spot. And then there's another team trying to manage and use a field that is the full size Updog field. So again, it's that difficulty that kind of comes into play when we're thinking about those scores as well.
Yep. What category stood out for you? Like, what do you think is one of the, because I got a bunch of like, I can think of something for each one of my categories really that was like the most common thing I gave as feedback.
One thing that kept popping into my head, it wasn't really like a it was just, I wonder if people know this. So maybe if they're listening to the podcast, then they'll know it. But
There's all kinds of gems in the podcast. Did you know?
there were a lot of folks that did a lot of flat work, but not a lot of team connectedness, and a lot of people that did a lot of team connectedness and not too much flat work. And so like team movement, coordinated team movement falls under team connectedness in Updog. And so if you're doing leg weaves and dancy stuff and like setup moves for no reason, not for no reason, but for like not a purpose,
Not connected to a throw.
not right, then that falls under team connectedness. But if I'm moving my dog purposely to set them up for a catch, or moving my dog purposely to set them up for a good line for a vault, that's going to fall under flat work. So like you really want both things to happen. Like, and there's multiple ways that you can showcase your team connectedness too. It's not just the coordinated team movement, but like I said, when I saw some teams, I'm like, I wonder if they're going to wonder why they're getting a low score in this and a high score in that. But again, like the flat.
So there was like no, there was either like no, some people had like no tricks other than just disc throwing, is what you're saying. And then other people had a lot of tricks and not enough disc throwing.
Well, not enough, like
boost that score.
They had team movement, but it wasn't purposeful. It wasn't like they did leg weaves and they did some spins and things, but it wasn't for the purpose of having their dog in the right spot to make a great line.
It was just a showcase, a trick to fill a time, to show the dog could do a trick.
Right. Yeah. It was kind of like, it was, I can't think of the right word. It was just, like I do think those things are important and they're part of the game. They make things look cooler than they would if you didn't do it, but it's not for a purpose.
Yeah, that was a big one. Yeah, what is this for? Like, what's the purpose of this? You have 2 minutes only. Well, 2 minutes, 15 seconds to showcase everything that you and your dog can do well. 2 minutes. And the more experienced you get as a team, the less like that's going to feel like 2 minutes. And you're going to have to start really kind of paring down, getting rid of all the extra stuff that doesn't have that. And so we see a lot more of that stuff in our novice teams where they're really trying to fill a minute and a half or 2 minutes with enough content to be able to go out and do freestyle, and then as they gain more skills, more tricks, more different throws and releases, then those things either incorporate throws into them, right? Hopefully, or they drop them off and put in another cool move or a segment. So I think that's part of the natural progression of the game. But that is interesting, and that's one of the things I commented on as well, was trying to find a way to integrate throws into some of the moves that people were doing.
Yeah. If you haven't thrown a disc in 15, 20 seconds, you may want to check what you're doing and see about throwing a disc.
Yep. Probably a good idea that you probably try and throw one soon.
Yeah.
The category, the throwing category, was another interesting one for me, because it was like there's the quality of the throw, right? And then there's the difficulty and the variety. So it really does give credit for, like, okay, you threw, I'll put check marks for every type of different grip and release. So something different, but like those are all the backhand grips and releases in there too. So that's something to think about, that we're not only looking for different types of throws, but we're looking for different types of grips on throws also. And so if you're a novice team and you're just working on, you just have your regular backhand throw, start working on variations of backhand. So maybe like throw under your leg, or throw behind your back, or throw around your arm, or try throwing inverted backhand, just like variations of backhand. If you already have your variations of backhand, I want to see, overhand wrist flick, overhand wrist flick, and sidearm in with your backhand variations. So that was something that I commented on a lot, was like, don't forget that the throw, as a human judge, I'm judging your ability as a disc thrower and a disc handler and a dog trainer, right? And so don't forget that the grips are important too, different types of grips, not just backhand throws.
Yeah.
But then there's the quality of the throw. So there's people that had lots of different throws, but if they all have a lot of mung, or they're real wobbly, or they're real late, or they're real early, you could have a higher score in throw attempts and difficulty and have a low score in execution. Or if you do have excellent execution of your backhands, but you don't have a lot of variety, you can have great actual release score and then a low variation score in the first one. So these kind of things, because of the way that we've set it up with Updog, it gives you an opportunity to really see specifically where you need the adjustment. Do you need more grips and releases, or do you need more work on executing the grips and releases that you have in your routine? And in both of those things happen during your development as a freestyle player. There's times where you're adding in new throws and you're not that good at them yet. But yeah, you just got to go through the process of being able to execute them under stress. So that's just part of the process.
Yeah, and like one of the things that we talk about sometimes in our freestyle judging course, because it comes up that, they might ask, well, if it's a small dog, do you give credit because they're a small dog and they wouldn't be able to do some of the things that a big dog? And the answer is no. Like every dog is judged just the same. Every human is judged the same. But what I always follow that up with is every handler needs to find their team's points. Like maybe I have a bum knee. And so today I'm just
spinning landing throws aren't going to be your strong area.
I'm not going to get points in athleticism today, but maybe I can get points in team connectedness, or maybe I can get points for my throws. So always looking at that criteria. Like if you're a player and you've never pulled out the Updog criteria and looked at it, look at those 6 skills for dog and those 6 skills for team and the 6 skills for human, and just go through them and go, you know what? I could do better at this. And I think I could do better at this pretty easily. Like that's an easy fix for me. Look for those easy fixes so that you can like get a few more points. If something's really hard for you, don't put all your time and energy into that, because
just completely avoid it too. Like,
yeah.
If you're not good at it, don't put it in your routine. Like you would just not have any of them. If your dog is terrible at that thing, you don't need it. Just don't even put it in your routine. You'll be just fine without flips.
Dre, for how many years was I deathly afraid of doing a back vault?
I remember I made you do it with Moxie. I still have that picture of her screaming at you and you turning your back away from her. I just made you vault with it was when Spice was a baby, right? And you were afraid to vault Spice, so we had you vault Moxie and stuff.
I didn't trust my throws. I was afraid I was going to hurt my dog. And for multiple years, I played freestyle and never did a vault. And I did well. Like I didn't win any world finals with it, but I did well. And like
fourth a lot.
I did.
Tally a lot. It was a lot of 4th places. And if she had been as athletic of a dog as Spice, it would have been on the podium. She just wasn't a very driven and athletic dog, but you got really amazing results, which actually brings me to the next most common note that I wrote was showmanship, because that was the thing that really set you apart. As you had mentioned a moment ago, like if you have a bum knee, athleticism is not going to be your thing that day, right? But like, let's just say it's every day. Like you just have a bum knee. So like, it doesn't mean that your athleticism and showmanship score is going to be a crappy area for you, or that your human score is going to be your lowest score always because you're a bigger person, or because you don't move well, you don't have good mobility, or because you don't like enjoy bouncing around and doing things like that, right? Showmanship is the other half of that. It doesn't just say athleticism. It says athleticism and showmanship, and there's bullet points underneath of that. So one of the most common things that I said was, don't forget about showmanship. Create strategic pauses in your routine. So like when you catch your dog, this is like, exactly what I'm going to say. Catch your dog with your head down, drop the dog, pick up this, throw. And you didn't even look, right? So like catch your dog, say 1 Mississippi, look at the judges and smile. If you can force yourself to just do it, just do it. You don't have to fist bump. You don't have to like point at the judges. You
can.
Those are bonuses, right? Those are additional showmanship, right? Do you remember we did this for bonus points? We did that for bonus points one year. So like you can create games with your friends where you're like, okay, in my routine, if I fist bump, I get a bonus point, and then create bets with your friends so they have to buy you stuff if you win. And then that's like little sub games inside. It's like a subcategory inside your freestyle, right? But like there's a showmanship area, and that could look like when presenting your dog. It could look like dog catch, ta-da. It could look like, when you're about to do something with your dog, petting them, kiss them on a nose, or give them a high five. Take a pause. Doing things specifically to the beat of the music. There was at least 5 teams in their multiples where they had a massive opportunity. It was right there. The music was right there. It was there. They were going at the same tempo. They just weren't going to the tempo of the music, right? So like adding something like that is a massive boost to your showmanship score. That was one of the big edges that Leap and I had, is I picked music that was the right tempo. And so our big moves would always hit. Right. If I sit in the pocket of the routine, our big moves would hit right on that. And everybody's like, everything's coordinated to the music. It's just a matter of picking the music that's the right tempo of the dog and then being present to that music when you're in it. Sit in the pocket of that music. And then the stuff will start to happen to the beat of that music. That's showmanship. So you don't have to be jumping, spinning, because we had some people out there that had throws in there. Honestly, I can't compete with. I can't do those throws. So do I just like assert that I'm never going to have a good human score or athleticism score? No, I'm going to boost my showmanship because I know that I can pair that with the move and then make something more exciting for the judges.
This is the coolest part about freestyle, I think, Dre.
Yeah.
Like, it's called freestyle. It's not called my style or your style or European style or American style or whatever style. It's freestyle. So like if you just take the top 5 teams from the Freestyle Crown, like if you just watch those first 5 videos, you get 5 totally different flavors, right? You do have some of the European style in some of the players. You definitely have more American style in some of them. You've got fast players, slower players, players that relied on their team movement, players that relied on their human skills, right? Players that relied on their dog was amazing. Like you could look at those first 5 videos and you could say, I bet you this team, their highest category was human. This team, their highest category was team or whatever. There's so many different ways to put together an amazing freestyle routine. That's what I think is great about it. But I will be honest, that's also what's really freaking hard to judge it, you know, because you're looking at something different every time. Like Dre said, it's not as if every player walks up and goes, here's what I'm going to do. Or it's not as if we tell people you have to do this. Like those bullets in Updog are just examples of how you could showcase that skill. It doesn't mean I have to do this bullet, I have to do this bullet, and I have to do this bullet. You may read those 3 bullets and go, you know what? I've come up with a 4th bullet that Updog doesn't even have that I'm going to use to show that
my own special bullet.
Exactly.
My own bullet. Nobody can have my bullet.
It's called freestyle.
All right, everybody. Well, we are going to stop things right there. We're going to have a part 2 of this that we'll put on next week. So hopefully the information that Dre and I gave you during this session and the one during next session, maybe you've got some ideas that you can incorporate into your performance round. For those of you guys that didn't do the freestyle, what was it called? Freestyle Crown. Sorry. If those of you that didn't do the Freestyle Crown, don't forget what Dre said. If you'd still like to do the performance round, you can. You can still register and do the performance round, even though you didn't do the criterion round. So if you felt a little left out because you didn't do it, you can have your shot. You've got till the end of October. If you weren't involved in the Freestyle Crown, I hope you enjoyed the conversation Dre and I had about freestyle judging and some other things. We'll again have part 2 of this next week and close things up. So until next week, have fun with your dog, be good to those around you, and be good to your pups. We'll see you next week.
Ooh, sunset. Ooh, freestyle. Ooh, sunset.